that drives me crazy.
He's the bad guy because he's got a big mouth.
This is cancel culture.
Let me get my popcorn.
Are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies. As I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. Makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Well, watch out, Russell. They're coming for you. You're getting too close to the truth. It's being clear to me, or at least it feels to me like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice.
You ready? When are you ready? Okay, right?
Hello.
Hello.
Yep.
Welcome to the Friends of Zeus podcast, episode whatever.
Yeah, man.
Something.
Whatever
130
episode.
something.
Does anybody even know?
I think it's 135, maybe.
I think it's 135.
Oh, wow. Okay, good.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Good guess.
I'm going to go with that.
Thanks, Brain.
135. Welcome back to the show. Tonight we're going to talk about something in the news the last week. I don't know if our viewers are familiar with, there's a gentleman who is famously a comedic actor, a Brit, a stand-up comedian. And if you know much about him, you know that he's a recovering addict as well. His name is Russell Brand.
Pet
Ru-
the furry wall. Pet the
Russell,
furry wall.
yes, Russell Brand was hugely popular, probably household name, maybe like 10, 12 years ago. He was showing up in a lot of Hollywood movies. He was on the HBO series Ballers, which was very popular with The Rock. He was in some romantic comedies. He got to play Arthur in a remake of the 80s classic.
Oh, wow.
He was pretty much known for being a comedic actor. I mean, that's who he was. For the last, I would say, what, guys, 4 or 5 years, he's
3, 4. Yeah. Maybe
3,
5.
4.
Maybe 5.
Has it
Yeah,
been that long?
he's sort of reestablished himself now in his sobriety and his he was once very atheistic. He's now a born again Christian, I believe.
Really?
He's sort of hit his stride amongst his audience as a political commentator, sort of a jester in the court of politics, pointing out inconsistencies and maybe things that seem disingenuous by governments, by big party media. He's making a name for himself in the social media world. He has a show. It's on YouTube. It's on Rumble. He's appeared on Bill Maher. He's interviewed with Jordan Peterson. Like he's all over the place. And he's an independent thinker, I think it's fair to say. He leans very left on social issues and even fiscal issues. But he's suspicious of big government and party lines that are being handed down. That's who he is. Now, lately, the last that's happened to him, or why we're talking about him, is last week a major news story broke. Russell Brand, as far as his social media presence, has about, I think on YouTube, he's got like maybe
6 million.
He's got a few million viewers on
It's a tad
YouTube.
more than us, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A couple.
yeah, a
Couple.
little bit more than the Friends of Zeus podcast,
A little bit more.
but we love you guys. Spread the word, get us
Yeah.
out there. So Russell Brand has a following. He's recently again appeared on Mar, who's very mainstream, television. And now the story has come out. Basically, these women from anywhere from 10 to 20 years ago have made sexual assault allegations against him. And this all came out at once last week. And I think with that, if that's all right with you, Tom, I'm going to pass that to you because you seem to indicate you had some knowledge of that. If not, I'll keep it.
No, I can add a bit to it. And I think it's germane to say that Brand is popular amongst conservatives. It's going to be germane to this discussion, and that he's perceived to be right-leaning. Now, granted, he may have those views that you've discussed already, but I think the perception is that he's right-leaning and he's popular among conservatives. So I think that's part of, why I think some of this stuff is happening.
Okay, we'll get into that.
So anyway, like you said, this came up just about a week or so ago, and I was looking into how it kind of evolved. It's kind of strange. It started with British. There was a group of British media outlets, the newspaper, a TV show, and a TV network. I think they all kind of combined to work on this story about Russell Brand. And it was during that story where the allegations came up. Nobody had gone to the police and did anything. But when the story hit the air, I think that's when some other people, some other women dialed it. I think they at that point called the police and reported some more allegations. And I want to be clear from the beginning.
Just real quick, have there been any reports to the police? Because I was under the impression there are no reports to the police.
No.
I think,
it's just in the media.
Yeah, they reported to the media, I believe. They said, "Oh, me too."
After the news story, the media story, then the Metropolitan Police in London said they received a number of allegations of sexual offenses committed elsewhere and will investigate those. So I kind of think it started to snowball after the TV or news or whatever media story that got released. And I just want to say from the top, we're not attacking the allegations or saying that they're false or kind of diminishing. If they're true, these are serious allegations. And we're not really debating. This isn't like a trial episode where we're debating the falsity or truth of the allegations themselves, but we're just talking about all the things surrounding what happened after those allegations came up.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the initial story was a combo. I think it was initially mentioned by, I think someone that's actually a member of Parliament. But anyway, kind of put the bug in the ear of someone at the BBC, Channel 4, spearheaded it along with the Daily Mail, I think is
the Sunday Times.
Sunday Times. So this was like a cooperative investigation of like 2 or 3 different news organizations, and all but one, I think it was the initial story dealt with 4 different accusations. All but one were anonymous. And none of these people had filed any sort of charges with the police or even notified the police. So that news, Tom, that you said, that's news to me. I didn't realize that since that's come out that there
was sort of just a minor correction. As the one in Los Angeles, the hospital, I think, notified the police. I think they're required to do that, but the person didn't want to file charges at the time.
And that was like what, 20 years ago or 15 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago. I think everything was between 2006 and 2013.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you do anything for the anonymous allegations? Like, can you do anything about that if there's no one? Because wouldn't that just be like that person wasn't testifying against them? I mean, you couldn't bring that to court, could you?
I don't think so.
As far as we know,
to sue them, or what do you mean? Or that?
I'm just saying,
to press charges against Brand.
You can't
press
anonymously.
Charges,
You can't anonymously press charges.
No.
Because
I didn't think
the
so.
accused has a right to face their accuser,
Right.
even in England. But,
Even as like a Jane Doe, like I don't know.
I mean, now your name
don't
can be
think you
kept from the
can.
public, but it cannot be kept from the court. You can't.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
the
mean, and
judge
this
could
was,
seal it.
and as far as the news article goes, the women that are anonymous just wished to remain anonymous, so they're totally off. They're off the record sources for this conglomerate of media that decided to pursue this investigation for
Now.
however long they were doing it, which we don't even know. But
And
and
yeah, I mean, the thing is, like what Tom said, and I would second, I don't know. I didn't see this Channel 4 story. I've seen clips of it, whatever. I don't need to. I really, I mean, whatever. If it gets to be a court thing, then I'll look into it. But unlike the Friends of Zeus podcast, who is withholding judgment and not trying to, publicly persecute anybody based on rumor, innuendo, and anonymous accusations.
Oh, I am.
Everyone else is. No, but what I'm saying is the press is, and YouTube is, and big tech is. I mean, he was demonetized on YouTube again just for an accusation.
right, that's what we were going to get to.
That's really the crux of our discussion tonight.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he's lost representation for his talent agency. He's lost a book deal. His tour got canceled. And the big picture of this is, again, if he's guilty of a crime, he needs to be punished. No one's arguing that. But in this day and age, to have accusations mean that you're basically your income, your livelihood, everything else just gets taken away from you arbitrarily without any sort of court case or anything. And the fact that this is very one-sided, and the fact that, in other words, it doesn't happen to everybody. And then you put it with the fact that in recent years, Russell Brand, he's always been anti-establishment. He's very anti-establishment. He doesn't just believe things that he hears in the press. He digs into it a little bit. And I would also disagree that he's a conservative. He is a classical liberal. He's a classical liberal.
Well, I said popular amongst conservatives.
Right.
Yeah, he is popular.
Well, he's popular nowadays because he's spoken up against the corporate and the government narrative in the era of COVID and the 2020 election. Like he's willing to have the discussion and to point out some of the hypocrisy of the powers that be. And that's why he's labeled in and roped in with the conservatives the way they did it to Joe Rogan when he spoke out against the COVID narrative, and Alex Berenson, and then your usual conservative trope of your Ben Shapiro's and your, Jordan Peterson is a classical liberal as well. Yeah. But now he got to the point where he said, fuck it, I'm going on Daily Wire because that's the only place that would have him.
And I don't think, again, and I'm not Russell Brand, I've never interviewed him, I don't know him, but I would say he probably doesn't identify as a conservative, but it's, again, and this has been a theme over the time with our podcast, and it's not left versus right. It's not Democrat versus Republican. It's just not. You have to take that dynamic and just throw it out the window, because that's not what we're dealing with. We're dealing with establishment versus anti-establishment. We're dealing with a propagandistic narrative that's played. Everyone's playing the same sheet music throughout the media. And if you stand up against that with a different narrative, whether you're Joe Rogan, the most powerful podcaster in our neighbor down the hall, or if you're Jordan Peterson, who's just like really was a nobody academic in Canada up till a few years ago. He came to prominence because he argued, he was brought up on charges for misgendering people, and he had the correct viewpoint of, like, if you make someone use certain pronouns, that's compelling speech, which is even worse than preventing speech, is compelling someone to say a certain thing. So what we're seeing here, and where people look at Bill Maher, oh man, he's coming, he's seen the light, it doesn't matter. I mean, the thing is, this this sort of tyrannical authoritarianism, if you look through history, they always end up eating their own. And that's what's happening. It's like you can be a member of the Democrat Party, you can be in the media, you can be in Hollywood, you can be, a famous author, J.K. Rowling, whatever. You cross the narrative,
Yep.
you're getting
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
it's called cancel culture.
It's cancel culture.
You're right. That's what it is.
But it's not it transcends liberal conservative.
Yeah, and no, totally. And that's the thing with Russell Brand. When he was a flaming liberal, kept his mouth shut on the big issues, and was just shagging women left and right and doing drugs and making movies, the media loved him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They had no problem with him at all. Hollywood embraced this crazy guy from England, and there was, and they promoted his stand-ups. And like you said, now his tour's canceled, his agent dumped him, YouTube demonetized him, and you got to wonder why. And if you go on, it's funny because Russell Brand, he was on Bill Maher recently. Now he's had this YouTube show for like the last year at least, where he has questioned authority. That's what he is doing. He questions the party line. But he was on Bill Maher quite recently, and there's a viral reel of him that's huge. It's going all over. It's viral, right? And he basically said, how can we live in a state of being where the energy companies can make money and they're incentivized to create energy crises, where the industrial military complex benefits from war, so they create or perpetuate war, where the pharmaceutical companies incentivize things like pandemics and profit off of them, and we're supposed to just sit there and get spoon-fed this garbage. And it's not right. It needs to be questioned. That shit went viral to the point where I hardly ever look at reels, and that came up for me. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember watching this on Mar. I remember seeing this appearance, whatever. Yeah, good for Russell Brand. He's right. I think that's the problem with Russell Brand. And that's the problem with Joe Rogan when he and all of a sudden he's labeled as somebody pushing horse-paste medicine.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
The thing is, Rogan and Russell Brand are two great examples because they're so different. Joe Rogan is an amazing interviewer, and he's an amazing interviewer because he shuts up and he lets people talk, which is, you don't have that anymore. Everything's like and he does long form interviews, and he's also good at asking questions. And he does say things himself, but his job is to really bring out things from the people he's interviewing. Russell Brand, on the other hand, is the guy's like maniacal. Like he's incredibly well spoken.
Yep.
His brain is fast. I mean, he's one of the fast. I envy how fast he can put words together.
Smart.
He's a smart guy, and he's very common sense about stuff. And he also doesn't just shut up, and he doesn't just accept what he's told. He digs into it, and that's why he's built a following. I mean, I started subscribing to him maybe a little over a year ago to his show, and it can be a lot sometimes. I mean, if you ever seen him, his shirt's always like open, so can be a little manic to listen to him. But yeah, he is bringing up things that aren't opinion. He's showing a mirror. He's like, hey, all these people said that this thing was wrong, and you know what? It wasn't. It was absolutely correct, and they buried it. Have they apologized? Nope. Times 10, like event after event after event. And again, to be cynical, you look at the timing of this, because look, the people in media and in government and all the people that are like needing a fainting couch now when they hear what Russell Brand's been accused of, they don't care. They don't care about any of these women or any of this stuff. They knew Weinstein was doing what he was doing. They knew Epstein was doing what he was doing. They know all this. They don't care. It's just when it comes time that they need to put you out the pasture, then that's what you got. And you're starting to see it a little bit even with Biden. They know this guy's been a freaking criminal, liar, like maniac for 50 years.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, what? You mean there's gambling going on here? You know,
Right.
if they want to get rid of them, it's like that's the thing that drives me crazy. Like, and if you say that, oh, you're defending Russell Brand, or it's so absurd. But anyway.
Well, that's like you know, Mike, if they want to get rid of you, like think about like that old story. Who was it? Hawthorne, I think, the Scarlet Letter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So the Scarlet Letter in today's society is you're a racist or you're a misogynist. Or nowadays you're a transphobe, although that's not really selling as well as they'd like it to.
No, it was the mask as well. Because if you didn't get the vaccine, they made you literally wear the mask someplace where the people that were vaccinated didn't have to wear the mask. Remember?
Well,
Climate-
not only that, it was a pandemic of the unvaccinated. It was their fault that your grandmother was getting sick
But
because
that's like
of
a
those
literal
fucking
scarlet
people.
letter if
Yeah,
if you
right.
have to wear something.
Right.
Yeah.
So the best way to take Russell Brand is such a liberal, and there's no way they could call him a racist. Even in England, where they still probably use terms that we don't in America, like the guy's not a racist. You're never going to get him on that. But he was a very promiscuous, drug-addled sex addict. He's written
Admittedly,
books. He's
yeah.
written books about being a drug and sex addict, right? And he was living in Hollywood. You know the stories that guy could tell if he wanted to. So they knew about all that shit. But now that he's sitting down with Tucker Carlson, which he has, now that he cites guys like Glenn Greenwald and Alex Berenson, now that he takes on the Ukraine war effort and questions it, he questions COVID, he questions the election, or at least will point out people who do. If you watch Brand's show, he cites like alternate news sources and basically shows you the quotes and then gives you his take. Like, okay, well, what do you think of that? Isn't that funny? You know what I mean? Like, he's not a reporter. He gives his opinion at the end after he's digested and presented to you, kind of like Carlson. Like Tucker Carlson, he'll show video. He'll show video of the border and he'll state his opinion on it. But now that Brand has sat down with Carlson and Steven Crowder and he's on Rumble, which is the conservative YouTube, and he's making money there, he's a bad guy because he's got a big mouth. Now, this show, with all 5 of you viewers out there, you should know, we've actually had 2 episodes taken off the air. They're gone.
Oh, we have? What was the other one?
They're gone.
Sri Lanka.
And what other one?
The Zuby episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
Zuby and Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and Zuby was literally called 20 Things I Learned During COVID, and it was really just like questions. It was rhetorical questions, and how do you feel about it? That was the whole episode. They took that shit down because it flew in the face of the COVID doctrine that they wanted out there. And
Didn't we get a strike for that? Did we get a strike for that?
Well, the whole episode got taken off. For the
rest of the year
forever.
And Russell's point, and I just watched his well, he had 2 shows today. I watched the shorter one, but his point with this whole thing is like, look, this is a power play of established media in conjunction with big tech and world governments that is trying to extinguish any alternate media sources. In other words, they're not interested in having, his point is, they're not interested in having a debate. They're interested in destroying dissent. And it's a huge difference between those 2 things. You're not going to see, who's someone on mainstream, one of these mainstream, Crossfire, all that's gone, man. They're not interested in talking about it. They're out for raw power and destroying their opponents and putting their boot on their neck. That's what they're interested in. And that's what he's trying to be the canary in the coal mine about. Like, What? How
Well,
else can you
because
explain that they would come out with this investigation right now after all this time? Literally, the guy's been in the
So
public eye for 20 years.
are you
Yeah.
saying that you think the allegations were A, made up, B, somebody
It could be
No.
true.
they
no,
aren't even from anybody that like some
No,
I don't
It
know.
could be
they-
100%
know.
true.
They
It could be 100% true.
They could be totally true. The fact that three major news networks that are independent of each other all got together on a phone call and said, let's call every ex-girlfriend this guy's ever had for the last 20 years and
That's
see
what I'm
if we come
saying.
up with something.
Yeah, they're
That's what
gonna.
I'm saying.
It was
Were they
targeted.
was it corroborated or was it like, you know,
and
did you
what-
go looking
yeah.
for an answer that you
They went looking for
what
an
falls
to-
answer.
under
had to
the
find.
what falls under the category of sexual assault these days? Because I think
And what
it's much
I-
broader than it used to be.
Well, the girl who accused him of the most severe offense, the girl who supposedly accused him of rape, where he texted her and said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry about last night." That woman had an ongoing relationship with him after that. Like she recalled that one incident, but you know what I mean? Like as far as her credibility goes, maybe he was a bastard one night. I have no idea. Like Mike said, I wasn't there. I don't know them. I don't know them personally at all. But to me, the story here, if he gets charged, he gets charged. Let him hang. If he did it, if he's convicted, like that Masterson kid in California, the guy from that 70s
Mhm.
show, he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail for rape accusations from like 20 years ago. However you feel about that, that's the way justice shook out. If Brand is brought to court, criminal court for this stuff, that's another story. But the fact that they went and hunted down all of these women from this guy's past, why
so
did
they did hunt them down. They didn't come forward on their own.
No, they hunted them down.
Okay.
And they did it in collusion with each other, and they all released the story the same. And that's
How do
another
we know
thing.
they hunted them down? How do we know
Well,
that?
well, because they admitted that
They researched
conducted
it.
and they researched and they investigated him. Why?
No, no one went to the police. This was
Okay,
a
okay.
top down. This was the press looking for something, and you're like, well, why are they talking about Brand? And here's the whole thing.
Okay.
How about all these other
get
people
it.
that are in the middle of doing something right now that aren't getting invested? I mean, in other words, both can be true. I know that we live in a time where it's like
Right.
everything seems like it's black and white. It's not. Both things can be true. He can be a serial rapist that's been getting away with it for 20 years
Yep.
and is the most horrible person in the world. And it can also be true that the establishment media is pulling a fast one and taking this guy out because he is asking inconvenient questions.
Right.
Well, the
I mean,
the
both could
offense
be
here
true.
is that he hasn't been charged with anything.
He hasn't been
yet.
charged with
It's
anything.
just allegations
And he's
by
lost his
anonymous
income.
people, and yet it's costing him money. He's been demonetized on YouTube, and the tour canceled, and all that stuff.
Book
And not only that,
canceled. Yeah.
the British government reached out to Rumble. It's like
This is
Jack
where-
said, he's on Rumble, and they asked to what did they ask Rumble to do? Take him off air?
To take
Yeah.
him off and demonetize him.
They asked
Yeah.
that they demonetize him.
Yeah.
And
Which
this is without any charges,
insane.
only with allegations. I mean, that's what we're
Right.
objecting to here. It's not, we don't know what's true or false.
Wait,
But
But
also,
the idea of being innocent until proven guilty is what we're
it's a government.
it's the
it's a-
government.
right.
It's
And
a government. It's
the-
not like some, the woman who accused him wrote this pleading letter, please take this man off the air. It's a state
true.
official.
And here's another thing.
And under
the
what
woman,
justification?
the woman who wrote the letter, the lady in Parliament who wrote the letter to Rumble saying to
I got
demonetize
notes on
got
her too.
her
Yeah.
husband
Yeah.
is a psyop guy in the British Army who
What?
spearheaded the whole response during COVID to shut down dissent. That's his wife
Mm.
is the member of Parliament who wrote a letter. Now, your Rumble, whatever, you get a letter from like a member of Congress or a member of Parliament. I mean, that is wrong on 100,000 different ways.
Mhm.
This is someone reaching down to affect a private citizen's ability to earn a living with no criminal charges filed
Right.
or anything. I mean,
Right.
that's the world we're in right now. That's
And then going
incredibly
beyond
horrible.
that, so when Rumble to their credit, they said, no, we're not going to
they
do
said,
that.
Yeah.
And then, so then some people complained to advertisers on Rumble, Burger King being the main one, I think, where people complained to Burger King, and Burger King pulled their ads off of Rumble. Right.
Yep.
And this is, again, just from people.
Off of the whole platform?
Yep.
Yeah. Just from people calling and complaining. But again, no charges. But let me pepper in, before we go too far, I want to pepper in some other examples that kind of match the brand, this idea of being branded, as I put on there. And this isn't like Mike was saying, it's not conservative versus liberal. It's not Republican or Democrat. Because Senator Menendez, was that the guy's name?
yes.
Bob Menendez.
So
Jersey,
Jersey boy.
There you go.
Represent.
Did you vote for them? Did you vote for him, Jack?
Yeah, you know I did.
So he's being charged, bribery. And the thing with him, he was charged the same thing before and he was acquitted, right?
Yes.
Similar. I don't know.
No,
I
no,
don't know if it was the same.
Okay, but
No,
anyway.
it was a hung jury or something, or mistrial.
Okay, so he wasn't guilty the last time. Now he's being charged again. And even though everybody knows he was charged before and he wasn't guilty, or found guilty, I should say, people are going ahead and asking him to resign ahead of a conviction. So it's kind of a similar thing.
Yeah, this is cancel culture.
Mhm.
That's how it rolls.
And then Judge
but-
Kavanaugh was another example where it's, all of a sudden out of the woodwork, a whole bunch of people came forward. Now that one was kind of much crazier, allegations of, gang rapes and things going on.
There's people that still
with
say
no
that's
evidence.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt that pretty severely. I mean,
Who's
there's no
gang
evidence of that.
raping people out there?
Kavanaugh.
Judge
Oh.
Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court justice.
Yeah.
was gang
No,
raping.
everybody who testified against him has been debunked or admitted it was bullshit. But
And the fact
people
that it
still,
only came up during his confirmation hearing, it never,
Right, they waited.
nothing before that, or
That's
nothing
how it
since,
always
I haven't
goes,
heard
though.
anything.
no,
Right.
Mm.
yeah,
And then we got
Menendez-
Trump on the.
Yeah, Trump.
So people are trying to pull Trump off the ballot for the general election in 2024
To save democracy.
to save democracy, even though he has not been convicted of anything yet. So why are you going ahead and trying to pull him off the ballot now?
Because
Well,
it's cancel
well,
culture. Whatever the thing that you say, so if I went and said something about green people, I don't like green people,
What?
and green
don't like
people,
green people?
come for me and they
You're
hate me now.
greenist.
If I say I don't like purple people, then the purple people are going to come for me. If I say something ill against a government, then the government's going to come after me. That's just how it works. Why is it fair? Don't know.
So are you saying that that's okay?
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying that's just the world we live
Yeah,
in.
we're not
It's cancel culture.
surprised.
Not surprised. Also, why is the government trying to cancel people?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Yeah,
part.
well, that's the thing. I mean,
and Senator Kennedy, sorry to interrupt again. I
No,
just
go ahead,
remembered
Tom.
Senator Kennedy getting a lot of his videos are kicked off of YouTube. Why? Well, I think you know why with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, we're being lectured to by people who are screaming about the fall of democracy, who think it's completely okay that Joe Biden refuses to debate RFK Jr.
Wait, was he a senator?
Who?
Kennedy.
No.
I don't think.
no,
Okay, sorry, I misspoke there. I was thinking of
No.
the other.
no.
His
there
dad
is
was. His dad
there
was.
is
Yeah, there
a
were
senator.
multiple Senator
there is a Senator
Kennedys, but-
Kennedy. But
Teddy was a
that's-
senator from Massachusetts, the youngest brother.
So Robert
Isn't
The
there-
Kennedy.
Chappaquiddick guy.
Isn't there a Senator Kennedy now?
Yes.
Republican.
I think.
Oh,
Republican.
believe
yeah,
so.
from Louisiana, but
From
not from the
Louisiana.
Kennedy family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. No, love him, by the way.
Yeah.
But anyway,
He's a hoot.
yeah. Yeah,
Anyway.
Mike, what were you saying?
Sorry to derail you.
Sorry, no, I'm derailed. I'll have to come back.
No,
back.
no, I just I mean we've already heard reports and we've talked about it on the show that our US government basically, I mean, they went to Facebook, they went to YouTube, they
Mhm.
went to Twitter. They said shut these voices down. We don't want them. You need to do your algorithm dance or do whatever, but this can't go on. and that's, you know, and Musk revealed a lot of that Twitter stuff when he took over and opened the books to Taibbi and other reporters, and Taibbi reported on it, and then the IRS went to his house. What do you know? I mean, so the governments are involved here, and now that we're talking about, maybe it's not so much COVID, although that's making a comeback, they say, but the war in Ukraine, the war in Ukraine is a big mess, and certain people aren't, like, what is our legacy media, our mainstream media, the reporters that work for the Times and the Washington Post and the Alphabet networks, they just take the press releases from the military and from the White House and they regurgitate it, and then that's it. So if you don't have places like the Daily Wire and their reporters, or Substack and their reporters, or the Gray Zone, or the Federalist, or, you know, what have you, there is no alternate news source, right? And so what's cool about RFK Jr., and I didn't know this until I watched the Brand episode, Mike, that you were talking about. I have notes, but he was talking about the what do they call it? The TNI, the Trusted News Initiative.
I also don't imagine you've heard of the Trusted News Initiative. Now, as is often the case when a word like trusted is used as part of an acronym to describe an unelected body, trust is the last thing you should be offering. The Trusted News Initiative is a collaboration between big tech and legacy media organisations to target, control, choke and shut down independent media organisations, like this one.
That's a disaster.
I mean,
what is that?
So basically, it's a group. It's a pact, supposedly not an unbiased organization that is put together by all of the establishment media corporations on the planet, and they rate the truthiness of different stories and things like that. And one of the ways to score a lot of points on your story is if you agree with what the established media says, or if it's been reported in a similar way with the established media, your story will get a very high score. If you have a story
if you're
that you've gone
repeating
out,
something, that's already been
said, you score very highly, and you're very reliable. But if you're someone like the gentleman who I can't remember his name, who the 80-year-old man, we did an episode way back, who went and did all the research on COVID at the very beginning when he wasn't satisfied, he wrote his own story. Anyway, that would be deemed very unreliable because he's bringing novel information into the Infoverse, and it hasn't been reported by the New York Times, so it's unreliable. And these are people selling this, the thing that Jack's telling about, with a straight face. Like, this is fantastic. This is great. We'll be able to rate the news.
Do you remember, like, the old movies, like the old 50s movies, like Scoop? The idea of scooping a competitive news, you know what I mean? Like, I've got this story, I'm going to get it out there before the New York Times does. Yeah. And it's gonna open everything up. Like, now they're all in cahoots. And so RFK Jr., I guess, tried to sue them for under antitrust policies that they were running a monopoly on the news. And these are the same people who are in bed with these governments. Now, Mike touched on this woman from England, the government official, and her husband, who basically, I mean, if I could get into some detail on it.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the woman who wrote the letter to Rumble. Okay, again. Okay, she tried to demonetize Russell Brand. She's the former government minister charged with shutting down dissent during COVID. Her name's Carolyn Dinage, and she's in charge of monitoring social media. Her husband is the deputy commander of the 77th Brigade, which is Britain's psychological warfare division.
No.
She is the digital culture minister during COVID, head of the Department for Culture, Media, and Sports. They work under something called the Online Safety Bill, which is sanctioned by the World Economic Forum. She was titled the Dame Commander. Which is in the home of the Disinformation Unit, which policed COVID narratives online shut down opposition to lockdowns and vaccine passports. Okay, so this is the lady married to the guy who's the psych warfare, czar, for fucking England, and they're the ones.
And
They're
she
the
works
ones
for the paper, or
no, they work
No,
for the English government.
so? What
Yeah.
was her role in the story, though?
She's the one who wrote to Rumble saying demonetize him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
in
Right.
in as
What
a
was the
in her
evidence that
position
she
in the
gave
government.
to demonetize? Like, what is in her
Oh,
letter?
nothing.
What is
No,
is
there
she
was no
Right.
evidence to demonetize. It was a pleading letter. Like,
It was like he should not be able to make money
yeah,
because he's a rapist.
yeah. No,
well,
she,
okay, because usually when you write a letter, people are like, please do not please unmonetize them for these reasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, no,
There wasn't
she-
like that.
Right.
no,
And she didn't even-
she cited the allegations and the fact that YouTube had already demonetized him,
Right.
and aren't you going to follow suit?
Maybe
Rumble?
that's the wrong. She needs to research how to.
Yeah. Maybe we should write a
Display
letter asking
something.
that she be removed from office.
Yeah.
Oh, so YouTube demonetized him. So we're
Oh, yeah.
definitely not going to demonetize him. Is what Rumble is saying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Right.
Rumble's whole bread and butter is to be able to put people up there that YouTube takes down regularly. I
Mhm.
mean, that's why we're on Rumble too.
Don't you want to follow suit?
We
No.
we gotta do that as our primary. We gotta shift it, reverse that. But I mean, like what Jack was saying with this whole you know I mean, basically these reporters who are just kind of like sitting around, not doing any reporting, waiting to be fed stories and write stories on press releases. They get scoops, not scoops, they get leaks, but leaks they're very one-sided. Like here in the United States, I mean, there's been like 50 leaks from the Department of Justice related to cases against Trump, right? And they're
Yeah.
all bad for Trump, right? They're all being leaked that way. These reporters in their whatever, these young reporters, some of them not so young, they have their people on the inside that feed them a leak. These people are running around thinking they're in All the President's Men. Like they're Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman, and they're, going up against investigating Watergate. It's not. They're tools, man. They're idiots. They're completely being used and played, and they don't even know it. And they give each other like Pulitzer Prizes and all this stuff, and it's
Give each
just
other
garbage. Like anyone that like spent 3 seconds studying journalism can see what garbage these people are. But most people don't study journalism, and they don't know what they're missing, and they've never read a story that had 3 sources in it, and they were just born in 10 years ago. They have no
I
idea.
think they do study journalism. That's what they're teaching in journalism class, is to be an activist
Yes.
journalist.
Right, it's not journalism.
You
it's
read my
something
mind,
else.
Tom. You read
Yeah.
my mind.
They're doing
Activist
exactly what
journalist.
they learned in journalism school.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just not the same as it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, no, and isn't it kind of sad? Like you think about like the congressional hearings that are looking into everything with Biden, the whistleblowers from the IRS, the whistleblowers from the DOJ. You wonder, like, if I'm a whistleblower with the federal government, who am I even calling? Like, I can't
Right.
call the
Your
New
mom.
York
That's
Times
who you're
or the
calling.
Washington Post. Am I calling Am I calling Russell Brand? Like who do I call? Like, do I
Candace
just?
Owens.
I think these
Glenn
guys.
Greenwald. Yeah.
I think they're just calling like Jim Jordan himself
Right,
and just
right.
being like, "Yo, bro, I know I'm on the record because you guys record all the calls."
Well, here's a pro tip to everyone out in podcast land. Don't call the FBI. Like, go, because don't do that. Whatever. Just lose their number.
Don't call the cops or the feds. It's called Shut the Fuck Up Friday.
Maybe you
Okay. Don't be talking
maybe
to the
your
cops.
local police. Maybe your local police.
Don't
But
call them either.
a
Don't call the cops
disaster.
unless the cops come and knocking, and then you can maybe answer.
Yeah,
questions,
no,
I
it's
guess.
it's
I don't
just
know.
kind of I full disclosure, I enjoy Russell Brand's show when I do watch it, and
Mhm.
I admire the guy's brain and
Yeah.
his passion and the fact that he's in recovery and he's found, God, and he's so much more centered, it seems like, than he used to be. I respect that. And if this guy was a scumbag 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, I don't find that hard to believe because I know the lifestyle that he was living. and it's just not hard to swallow. So, you know, if he did wrong any of these women in a way, you know, my heart goes out to them. It really does, and I'm sure his does too. Like, I mean, I'm sure the man has regret and has probably spoken to people he's wronged, because that's part of recovery. You kind of do that. But to be silenced,
you can remember you wronged him.
But to be silenced by this corporate media conglomerate working with governments to shut people up, when I, as an American citizen, want to hear this stuff and I want to know the news, not the bullshit news, but the actual news. Like, why are we in bed with Ukraine? What is that all about? How much money is enough to fund their entire, like, government? And, you know, there's a news article that just came out that we're basically paying salaries of everyone that works for their government. Like, I mean, like, we're funding their infrastructure now. And, you know, it's unbelievable to me. Like, we're not just buying bullets.
And the thing, and that's what I lost my train of thought earlier. The whole thing with Ukraine, like, I know people that are from there. I mean, like, came there from here, born there, came here.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of sympathy and all, but my problem is our media has done such a disservice to our population, because, like I said, I follow this stuff. I follow news all the time. I barely know what's going on over there. I mean, and the reasons and the ramifications and what got started and the history. I mean, we did 2 episodes on it. You know, when this thing first got started, we even talked about it before it happened. But our media, they're multinational corporations. They have reporters and locations all over the world. And you turn on any of them and you just get the same crap. You know what I mean? Like the same dog food and the same can. Dinty dog food, everyone just gets it. You just eat it. Alpo, there's no difference in the taste. Like, what? I mean, here's the thing.
Dinty Moore dog food.
No, it's not. Dinty Moore beef stew. I did
apologize.
You know what? Dinty Moore and Alpo might be the same product.
It might be the same.
It looks
different labels.
But I mean, where is the analysis from these media companies being like, look, here's the deal. Like, not telling me what to think, but just telling me, like, here's the background. I mean, you know, there is a speech, and he actually put pen to paper and wrote it. You can read it online. I have to find a link to it, from like 2 years before all this stuff blew up in Ukraine, that Putin gave his speech, and he pretty much outlined everything that's happening right now. Like, the guy hasn't been super secretive about it. You know, he was like, if this happens, I'm going to do this, and then this, and that. If NATO doesn't, you know, check itself, and if they keep being provocative, I'm going to go into Ukraine. I mean, he just spelled everything out. I'm not saying, but my point is, 2 years after the thing starts, I'm just finding out about this now. Like, why? I mean, people in the know have known it, but we just keep hearing one side of the story. And what's going on with all the money going to Ukraine, donations to the Democrat Party coming out of Ukraine? Like, what in the hell's going on? And if you question it, and this is Brand's point, if you question it, then you're a Putin lover, right? You hate Ukraine. You're for totalitarianism. You're pro Putin. Just for asking a question, like, can you explain this to me? It's absurd, man.
Well, Mike, that's what happened to Tucker Carlson too. He was called a Putin sympathizer because he basically just asked questions about, why the fuck are we over there? What are we doing? How much money can we possibly give to this? What's the end game? What's our, like, goal of engagement here? Like, when is, you know, we're behind Ukraine as long as it takes.
And then the answer is to have discussions and debates and all that good stuff. And let the chips fall where they may. My issue is, we are funding a war right now that no one has voted for. No, they haven't asked any of us. They haven't asked anybody. And not even our representatives have voted for this. Like, they're just doing continuing resolutions, and Biden's just stroking, like, hey, I need this. And it's just getting pushed through. It's because
we're not funding a war. We're just funding other shit.
But I'm saying that by its very nature
kind of maybe is a third party situation to the war, like, this salaries of the staff or the infrastructure or whatever. Like, it's not the actual war. We're not providing them soldiers.
I'm just saying someone is directing. It's just they're running roughshod. People aren't being asked their opinion. People aren't being educated about what's going on. And then when you have a question about it, then you're the pariah. And again, it is tyranny, right? And then to be lectured to by these people about like protecting democracy and stuff, it's so rich. I mean, that story, The Emperor Has No Clothes, I never got it when I was a kid. I never liked it. I was like, I don't even understand this, man. Is that
I don't know the story. Is that like The Emperor's New Groove?
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
kind of.
damn. Oh.
Kind of.
Been a while since I saw The New Groove, but
Oh.
anyway.
But Brand is an easy target, though, isn't it? Because of the
Yeah.
drugs. He probably doesn't remember anything that happened during the time frames that these allegations are referring to, which kind of makes him an easy target.
Why are they going after Menendez? Because as a layperson here, there is for every. I mean, am I crazy? I mean, isn't this exactly what's going on with Biden and the Biden crime family, except on steroids? And what Menendez is doing is like a tiny, teeny percentage of that, and yet he's getting. I don't know. What's the deal? Why are they going? Why are they
the
taking him out?
narrative.
Yeah, no, I think Menendez is expendable. I think that he must have probably for all we know, he pissed off the wrong people, Mike. He's not totally in lockstep with something that we're not privy to know about, because they went after him once before too, and then that was the mistrial or the hung jury or whatever.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have enough friends in high places to protect his ass. And now he's blown it again. I mean, to have gold bars and $500,000 in cash just lying around, like, you're just kind of asking for it at that point. And AOC was on TV asking that he step down. Fetterman, in between drooling and
Fucking
like peeing
Fetterman.
himself,
And wearing the
said he
same
should
goddamn
step
hoodie all the
down.
time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
yes.
still wearing that Carhartt hoodie, ain't he?
Well, no, they don't have a dress code in the Senate anymore.
That's
So
what I'm saying. He's still wearing the Carhartt hoodie.
Right.
he can.
Well.
Yeah.
It's absurd, man. It is so
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, he said he didn't trust the government in terms, and that's why he was keeping his gold at his house.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
didn't he say
Did you
he's
hear
like
that?
as someone with Cuban lineage, like I don't trust the government or something like that?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if I.
Yeah, that was
I don't
his
know if I buy
excuse.
that. Yeah.
I'm Cuban. I gotta keep it under my mattress, man. That's what it is.
I mean, that's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
what else are you gonna do with your gold bars? Take
I
them
just-
to the the whatever, the
No,
night
I
deposit,
just
but they
think-
don't fit. You can't
I
go
don't
to the
know.
teller and be like, "Here's some gold bars. Can you deposit them in my account?"
Put in the drive-through.
$7 million and 70,000 gold bars. That's all I got.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just think
Not
he's
how it works.
I think he's expendable. He made the wrong enemies, and they want somebody younger and more in line with the the party line. They want to get
Well-
new blood in there.
And this again, the circular firing squad, this is the one thing that people that support these authoritarians at the beginning, they're like, well, I'm on the right side, I'm protecting myself, I'm here for the party. And as the party gains control and gains power, the targets turn inward. It's all the infighting. I mean, look at, again, North Korea is a way crazy extreme example of this, but when the younger guy, Kim Jong-un,
Yeah.
is that his name?
Jong-un.
Or when he came in, like, he just assassinated like 50 people of his family. Like, he just uncles, aunts, cousins, everybody, just and he was
Fuck you,
using like
fuck you, fuck you, you're cool.
anti-aircraft guns on the range, like 50 cal cannons. Anyway, my point is, things you think you're on the inside and then you're not, and we're already seeing it again. The going after someone like Russell Brand for saying, going after Menendez, the knives are out, man. If you're, and again, Biden, they don't know what to do with that guy. He's going to end up in a trunk of a car. I just don't know when. You know, I'm saying that not literally, but I'm
Well,
saying they're going to get rid of him
it's a
whenever they can.
dangerous game to play, you know, what YouTube is doing, because if he doesn't get convicted the way Menendez didn't get convicted, then Brand can come back and sue YouTube for all the lost money.
You would
Yeah.
think so.
Because
Yeah.
where on YouTube's monetization rules does it say if you have been accused of sexual crimes, you will be demonetized? Where does it
Yeah,
say
no,
that? I don't
no.
think so.
It could be in their
No.
terms of service. They
Yeah,
could have some
YouTube-
wonky terms of service.
YouTube has really vague policy language, you know, that they use to take people off,
I
to
understand that, but, like-
demonetize them. You know what I mean? Like, he's being accused of these really grave, you know, serious offenses, and it goes against our community guidelines to have you make money on our platform. I mean, it's
Yeah,
total
but if
bullshit.
unless he probably wasn't talking about them on his show.
No.
No,
So basically,
not.
it's just someone he said, she said. I mean, if
Yeah, but they demonetize people all the time just for getting out of line on the trans issue or on the COVID issue or on the election issue.
right, but those are people that are saying those things on their channel, and that goes against their community guidelines. What I'm saying is,
I know it's an
I think
allegation.
he could fucking hella sue them for this. I
I
think
can
he
just
could sue
come
them
out
now.
with an allegation. I can say Desiree stole my milk money.
I
And
probably did.
Based on that allegation, there's an admission there.
Give me your lunch money.
So she can get kicked off of YouTube. You can take her off of Twitter and whatever, TikTok can ban her, all because of just the allegation.
A rumor,
Really?
basically.
Is that
you
where
know?
we're
Yeah,
at?
but there's not even any consistency because on social media, you've got people that are convicted felons that write
Well,
rap
that's true.
songs about killing people and robbing them and shit.
And
Like,
that-
I mean,
that's true.
it doesn't make a difference. I mean, you know, some social media platforms allow like terrorist organizations to have a voice on there. This guy is accused of doing something
Taliban.
to some women 20 years ago, but he's got a big mouth and he says things they don't want people to hear. So he's demonetized. It's
Yeah.
got nothing to do with what he might have done.
There's
at
a
all.
hypocrisy going on.
And I'll tell
Yeah.
you, I mean, isn't it strange how quickly things have changed in our culture? I mean, 5 years ago, 10 years, definitely 10 years ago, story comes out like this about anybody, it's over, man. Like, you're never even gonna, I don't even want to talk about that guy again, whatever. Nowadays, it comes out, you get people on a podcast being like, I don't know.
Right.
I think it's the guy. I mean, they have sown so much distrust.
Yeah.
It really affects our civil society because the cohesion between us, the cohesion between people and their trust in their government is so damaged. And that's when other things start to happen that are very, very, can be distasteful. I mean, I was talking to Desiree before we started the show, just in the last, and I said something on the text line. I thought, this is just, I don't have a point to this, but it was pretty sad to me. In the last 3 days, I've been to 2 events, somewhat political, that had like 10 plus county police officers there. Why? Like, I mean, to protect against what exactly? One was a book signing at a bookstore, and there were like 10 plus Fairfax County police officers there. And then I went to an event tonight at a Knights of Columbus Hall that had Moms for Liberty there. And there were like 10 plus Montgomery County police officers there. And I'm just like, when did that start happening? Like, I mean, I've gone to, like, when I lived in Baltimore when I was younger, I went to see Martin O'Malley talk many times when he was mayor. I have recordings of some of those speeches. Are hilarious, some of the stuff that he would say. But anyway, I don't remember cops being everywhere. And this is in Baltimore City with, you know, middle of not a great neighborhood. There'd be like a cop, maybe. I'm saying
Robert Kennedy
on a
can't
horse?
get any protection.
he can't get any protection. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
this is, you know, I'm like, I joke with my wife. I'm like, you know, how's it feel to be married to a member of the resistance? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I need a cool hat and like
Yeah, you do.
like a cigarello and a Jaguar with like machine guns
Jaguar?
and headlights or something. What?
I'm just laughing
Yeah.
at the Jaguar.
Yeah, Jaguar. Anyway,
Jaguar.
yeah, bookstore, man. Cops going
Yeah,
to a
no,
bookstore.
wait a minute. Did the author request security? Is that why the cops were there?
I have no idea. That's a good question. This is Mark Levin. I mean, he had his own security with him.
No, he did.
Oh yeah, he had some body men with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think in that case, I mean, there's certain hot button groups and authors and the like, and they're afraid that they probably weren't afraid of you guys, people that are
No,
going
that's
to.
my point.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
afraid that people are going to come and they're going to protest. And they're going to
That's
say,
my point.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's insane.
Peaceful
the-
protesters.
Peaceful protesters.
yeah, right. Yeah, mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful.
But I'm telling you that, and again, standing there in a bookstore, waiting to get a book signed, which is such a nerdy thing. I've never been to a book signing before.
Do they
Like,
even make books anymore? It's weird.
They do, and I'm not an
You read?
autograph hound. I
I
do
don't know how
read.
to read.
I do read. But I didn't care about the photograph. I just wanted to meet him. I'm like, dude, he's coming right near in town. I admire the guy. I listen to him a lot. Anyway, standing there and just having the presence of these dudes with like sidearms and tactical vests and radios, it kind of changes the atmosphere a little bit.
Yeah.
It puts it in your mind. It's sort of I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't know, that guy, I'm like, I'll see something, say something. Like, I'm like, that dude over there, he could be Antifa. Like, I don't even know. It makes you start thinking.
This is what happens in like the socialist state, where now it kind of discourages you. The next time an event comes around, you might think twice about going. And it's just a little thing. They'd start to add up, and they'll discourage you from going one direction.
I don't know if there's ever a reason to go down and celebrate the official counting of ballots in the future. I don't know if I'm going to go down to DC and see that. I may not choose to do that in the future.
Right. Apparently, you can get arrested from just standing like 200 yards away.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like 10 years in jail.
I mean, all joking aside, it definitely is a chilling effect. I mean, it's like, why? Like, I was thinking to myself when I went to, and just not to over talk about the book signing, but when I was going to go to the book signing, I was thinking, I'll take my daughter with me, and maybe we'll go get some lunch and whatever. It'll be kind of cool. Maybe we'll get a book. And I was like, I'm not taking her there.
No.
And that's sad. And it's like you're already, when people are like, oh, none of this affects me, I'm just going about my day. It does affect you. It does, in little ways.
Well, I mean, I think now at this point in 2023, after what we've witnessed just the last 4 years, you're hip to the fact, Mike, that a lot of the people on the other side are fucking maniacs.
Mm-hmm.
They just are. So you're going to see a book signing by a guy who's outspoken, who's in the media, whose book is called The Democratic Party Hates America.
Yeah.
I mean,
how's the book, by the way? Have you started reading it?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm about just under halfway through it. Yeah.
All right, cool. I still got to read American Marxism. I have it in my audio. I got it in my Audible file.
I would read that one first.
I will.
These are really like sister books, in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
I'm gonna. One's a setup, and the other one's the spike. Yeah.
All right, cool. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know enough about the protesters on the other side to know that they're not coming just to hold up a sign.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So
they're gonna come wearing trash bags. I mean,
yeah, you got to
cans.
keep your kid away from that. I mean, you have people slugging people in the face. You know, it's just, yeah, it is sad, but
and that's the atmosphere they're going for, because like in the past, if you had a line of 100 people at a store, other people walking by with, hey, what's going on? Oh yeah, maybe I'll join it. Maybe I'll get in line too. But once they see all the police and shouting protesters and things, then, nobody else is gonna, unless you're like Mike and you're really determined to go there and to get the signature and meet this guy, the faint of heart are gonna they're gonna fade away to the background. They're like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna get in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Right.
which I think is what they want.
Yeah. It's 100%. They want people to think twice about stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, again, this thing with brand, I can't, if I just want people to know that this is like what Zeus would say, like choreography or whatever. Like, don't just take what you're hearing and be like, okay. I mean, there's a reason this story is coming out now. Not saying it's true or not true, but there's a reason it's coming out now. Because he's inconvenient, man. They don't want to have to argue again. You really can't argue against what he says because he doesn't go out on limbs. He's really good with sourcing what he's saying, and he mainly asks questions. So he's kind of hard to. But the thing is, if someone did want to debate him, he'd probably be like, "All right," he would welcome
I think it started. I don't know. I have to go back and research now. I'm curious. The people that were doing the story on him, because sometimes these places like Current Affair or something, I don't know if they're even still on the air. They'll do these stories where they'll say, okay, let's go and, we'll dig up, we'll go find his ex-girlfriends and we'll get the scoop
digging up dirt on him or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And without necessarily being, with any malintent, but just to get some salacious material. Now, I don't know if that's how it started or if they were like, okay, let's see what let's try to, contrive something here.
Wouldn't it be nice to know that story? Like, could a reporter do a story like, how did Channel 4 and BBC and
why did it take
phone
3
conversation that you
organizations?
Yeah, exactly.
What if it was like this? What if it was like this? So Russell Brand, huh? You were involved with him back in the, the fucking party animal days? Yeah, I mean, I know of him. I hung out with him a few times. Oh, was there any time he was inappropriate? I mean, his life is inappropriate. Yeah. Would you say he da? I mean, I guess you could call it that. You could call it that.
No,
but sexual assault.
But Desiree, before we even get to that point, editorial boards for 3 different news organizations put their reporters to task of get dirt on this motherfucker. That's what they did. It's the Trusted News Initiative. It's the choreography that Zeus talks about, and it's really a conspiracy. I mean, that's what it is. It's not like, hey, let's make everybody dance and let's see what they do. No, they want to silence people that have a certain point of view, which is just a questioning point of view. It's not even like Brand has this emphatic opinion on shit, like you said, Mike. He's just saying, why are we involved so heavily in the Ukraine? What do we not know? Like, where did COVID come from? How? What's the veracity of these? These policies of like, why do we have to wear the masks, and are they what's the efficacy of the vaccine? Is there any truth to people dropping dead from the you know what I mean? Like actual news that should be reported on, that should be discussed or questioned. He just brings that shit up and he cites alternate news sources because the mainstream news wants nothing to do with anything but the party line.
And it's gaining traction. I mean, the thing with someone like Russell, the reason why it gains traction is because just in the last half dozen years, I mean, if you gave me some time, I could come up with 3 dozen major stories that were reported incorrectly.
Yeah.
And that came out later, or were flat out lies that came out later. And I'm not talking about like, dog gets hit crossing the street. I'm talking about like the son of the presidential candidate for a major party in America, has a laptop that has evidence that they've been like involved with bribery and embezzlement and everything else with foreign governments, and that story gets disappeared right before the election. That's what I'm talking about. We can go down the list. And so it's not like we're just the sky's falling, or we're just like,
I think the New York Times,
pearls. There's evidence.
New York Times like literally said, I don't know what the story is here. we don't see anything newsworthy about Hunter Biden.
And what's staggering about the Biden connection to Ukraine of all countries.
Yeah.
We're giving them $130+ billion right now in a war that we've stated we're never getting out of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did we
no
see that?
one's
I missed
no
it.
one's investigating. Like, is this a money laundering scheme? Like what are we doing here? Is Biden still in bed with Burisma? Like, who's in charge over
I
there?
think
Like,
I always that the money is kind of circling back somehow to
It
Biden.
could.
I mean, shouldn't somebody at the New York Times or the Washington Post or any kind of an actual, like, news, the news of record, shouldn't somebody do a little digging more than these whistleblowers that Jim Jordan's got bringing up every week? I mean,
It
I
could
don't
be one
know.
of those things where like let's just say somebody did. Let's say I worked for the Times and I'm like, I'm gonna get this story, I'm gonna write a piece on it.
Mm.
And then you like submit it to the editor and they're like, no. So it's almost like if that's probably part of it. Like they're not gonna print, it doesn't matter what kind of journalism you do. They're gonna select the pieces that they want to print.
Well,
And so if
right.
over time, if you're like, okay, well, I want to do this story, but they're not going to print it, so I'm not going to waste my time.
Well, they'll print it on page
shit.
20,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because listen, they're not interested in the truth. That's the other thing. Like people have this, like there's this other thing going on with these people in the establishment who hide behind regular people. Like you always see it in the press. You'll get someone like, Andrea Mitchell or Christine Amanpour, right? And they'll just go off the deep end with some ridiculous whatever, like it's opinion, and they're trying to pretend like they're reporters. And then when they're challenged on it, they get up on their high horse and be like, journalism is a noble profession and you're attacking journalists and blah blah blah. Just like the way Christopher Wray and Mayorkas, if you have a problem with the border being open, it's like the border patrol is the most upstanding people and you're trying to tear into these people and I'm not going to stand for it. I'm going to defend it. It's like they always are hiding behind the people in the front lines, and it's like, no, man, it's you're the one that's a jerk off. We're not talking about the rank and file people, but they do this sort of stuff all the time, and it's like if you call them out on it, it's like you're attacking your next door neighbor or something, which is just absurd. Anyway, I don't know.
No, and it's funny, you were talking about, just as an aside, about how Senator Bob Menendez, maybe, I was mentioning maybe he's just expendable at this point. They'd rather have someone else there. Some of these like mainstream media outlets are finally starting to show the darker side of the border crisis, as if to point the finger at Biden. Like the New York City mayor, some of the other mayors in the major Democratic cities. There's photographs circulating now of women and children in barbed wire trying to get through, more people in cages, whatever. Like they're finally saying, hey, maybe this is a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I wonder, I don't know. I don't want to have a total aside to start talking about the election, but I'm really starting to wonder how long, like, it's going to be Biden. Like, are they trying to push him out, give him the hook?
There's a gang up going on. Started to see it. Well, it didn't start with, but the CNN poll that came out a couple of weeks ago that was favorable to Trump, that was contrived because they purposely only interviewed people, mainly people that were conservative. And that's why Trump's numbers looked real good in that one. Yeah. And then the ABC poll that came out a couple of days ago that had Trump 52 to 42 I'm very suspicious of that one as well. I need to see more details about who was involved in that poll, because I just don't buy it that Trump's up by 10 points out of nowhere. That's crazy. So a lot of it, like you're saying, Jack, all of a sudden the media is kind of doing their part as if, I don't know if they're even being instructed or if they just kind of know, hey, it's time to, there's blood in the water. Let's jump in now.
There's a lot of people that believe that there's no way that Biden is the nominee in 24. I mean, I don't know.
I don't see how they
the
get
machination of that.
Unless there's some kind of.
What's that one guy's name? Bernie Sanders. Buy him.
He's older than Biden, isn't he?
I don't know.
Start on Bernie. People like him though.
Yeah, it's kind of curious to me that you bring up Bernie. I'm surprised at this late in the game
That he hasn't come around yet.
He hasn't gotten the signatures. He's not trying to demand that he's on the debate stage. Like, he's not running. He's
But
not
the
even.
thing is, he's getting his whole agenda enacted, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything. I mean, his
That's true.
policies, his platform in 2020 or in 2016
Mhm.
is what we're living through right now.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why not keep Biden then? The people behind the curtain are getting everything they want from Biden. Why not keep him?
Because Harris is right behind him.
Yeah, and they're afraid. And
Okay,
they're
get rid of
afraid.
Harris then.
I mean,
That's easy, isn't it?
I think they're afraid that
Yeah.
Biden could conceivably lose because the country is in that roughest shape, and they want a fresh
Okay.
face. He's 80. They
And
you know
demented.
they're a little worried about how electable he really is at this point. You know what I mean?
Can
They're starting.
Can I just put a marker down here and was it? It's September 26th, 2023.
Yeah.
If some reason Biden were to win in 24, he didn't. How could it possibly happen? This guy
he's going to
has
get the votes, guys.
It's
If he's
such a
on the
shit
ballot,
show.
he's going to get the votes. Because
Yeah, no,
are
you're
they going
gonna
to
have
vote for Trump? No.
Yeah, you have a lot of never Trumpers, and then also Trump's
Mm-hmm.
going to lose a lot of the casual fans because he's going to be, running from a jail cell at that point. And they're just going to
Exactly.
be like,
And just
it's
complaining about,
too
the
much.
attacks on him. It's
Man, I'm not
they won't
looking
be
forward
talking
to
about
next
the
year.
issues. If he talks
Yeah.
about the economy, and if he talks about the war in Ukraine, he'll win much easier. But I don't think that's going to happen with Trump. He's going to take the cheese. He's just going to talk about the trials. He's going to talk about the personal attacks. He's going to bite the cheese.
I don't know. I think there's going to be so much of him sitting at the defendant's table again and again and again that when he has the chance to speak in front of a crowd and there actually is television coverage of those rallies, which that's another story. There
Right.
won't be any at
Right.
all. But he's going to play up the fact that, look, things were really pretty fucking good from 2017 through 2019, and look at how they are now. That's it. That's his whole election. That's all he has to say. They're persecuting me because they want the country to be terrible. Look how it was when I was president. Look how it is now. Give me another chance. Let's fix things. And he's got a shot. But, if he's looking at all those, going through all these indictments, being at the defendant's table so much, he's not going to win the never Trumpers, and he might lose some of the casual, well, I don't like Biden, but can I vote for this guy? I don't know.
To your point, Jack, and this is just an aside, what I can't get my head around is someone that's like, man, I don't know about if I want to vote for Trump or Biden. Like, who are these people? Like, I can understand people that are like, I hate Trump. I'm never going to vote for him.
Yeah,
I understand people that are like, I hate Biden. Who in the fuck are these people that are like, Biden or Trump? Biden or Trump?
Point,
I mean, what planet are these people
on? At this point,
on?
everybody knows those two.
Yeah, but
inside
Mike,
and out.
Can you imagine being an independent right now? Like, you're a legit independent. You're not full-blood Democrat or Republican. Okay, you want to pick the best person for the job, and
you're probably just not voting.
And right, and you're presented with old man Biden, who might be a corrupt son of a bitch, or the guy who's going to jail for the rest of his life because he's a scumbag.
That's the two choices.
Right.
You know what
We
I
gotta
mean?
get some new guys. Come on, get some new guys. Get some new guys.
You're staying home, man. You're staying home. And I don't know if Trump can afford for people that like him to stay home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he can.
So that's right.
Daddy DeSantis.
What?
2024.
What do you think about this whole brand thing? Because I know you were like, I mean, not like any of us are super up on it, but what's your opinion on it, on what's going on with it, just from what you've heard?
I just think it's just a really severe form of cancel culture, and it's a little bit surprising, but also not surprising that the government would do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, not even the US government. Because
Yeah.
that chick was from the UK, right?
Well, he's Well, Russell Brand is
I understand
from,
that, but
yeah,
doesn't he live in America?
I think so.
I
Right.
think you.
Yeah.
I think
There was
he
one
lives-
allegation from
maybe he lives in
California. I don't know if that was included with the. I think it
Oh no, I'm
was.
talking about the lady from the parliament
The
that
Oh, right,
went
right,
government.
right.
to,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
to
she's yeah.
Rumble.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, like you don't even live. Like, he's not even. I don't know.
Isn't this some of the Me Too stuff and the believe all women stuff
Mhm.
I have a
as
problem.
well?
Oh, don't get me started.
Good, Des. What do you got?
Okay, unpopular opinion, or maybe a hot take. I don't really know, but here we go. So, number one, isn't there like some type of a statute of limitations on sex crimes?
Yeah.
What is
Some.
that?
I would
Yeah,
imagine.
the one rape was, I think, statutory because there was a 16-year-old and he was 31.
No, the
Right?
age of the age of consent in England is 16.
Oh, okay. So, all right.
So
Never mind.
that's not that's there's nothing other than the fact that it's salacious. He was older, she was younger, and she
Which
felt
I don't find salacious at all, to be honest.
I don't either.
I don't think
Go
that
ahead,
I
Des.
don't think 16 is that whatever. You know what the fuck you're doing at 16 if you're out at them parties. You know what you're doing. Anyway, I find I don't want to say I find it hard to believe people. Because it's not that. It's just I find it hard to believe you after 20 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Why now?
Yeah, why now? And that's it. Like I don't know. It's just really
Yeah.
hard to believe. And it's like, why now? Why not 5 years from the event? Why not 10? I don't know. I get it sucks because it's like, okay, if it was real, then okay, I understand that, you were afraid to come forward, also like how what was the assault? Like, was it Russell grabbed my ass and maybe like roughed me up against the wall? Is that sexual assault? Because I don't really think that is. And I don't think that
I don't know.
if that happened to you at a party, you can get the fuck out of the Me Too club. Like, one person's sexual assault and another person's rape are not equal to me. Does that make sense? And I don't think after 20 years, I don't know.
Yeah, no, Des, I totally get it. I mean, in defense of these women, I will say that years had gone by. They never went to cops. They pretty much, didn't do anything
And
to
still
really
didn't go to cops, went to the media.
No. But my point is that every woman that this guy was connected with got a phone call from 3 different news agencies asking loaded questions like, was Russell ever sexually inappropriate with you? And then these girls
all the time.
got to talking. Oh, he was an octopus. He was all hands.
And
I couldn't keep him off me. And then the one girl actually had, the balls to say, "Oh, I think he raped me." In fact, at the time, I went to a clinic and told them that I thought I was raped. Now, that's a serious thing if that actually happened, which I guess that there's texts that show an exchange between her and Brand where he apologized, and I guess he had sex with her without
he didn't
a condom.
apologize for raping her. He just said
he
sorry
didn't
about
apologize.
last night.
No. He
Which
said he had
is
sex
a
with
text
her.
that goes out from a lot of men, a lot of mornings.
Yeah, no, he
things.
said, "I'm sorry about that. I should have used a condom." Like, she was a condom person and he had sex with her without a condom. But
is
then
that rape? Is that rape?
Because it's dubious because then they continued a relationship after that. I mean, it wasn't like she went and got a rape kit
so
done.
did she go to the hospital for rape or because she just wanted like the morning after pill and it's like free if you say that you were raped or something?
Man,
I don't know.
Is that the case? And then that's why the hospital had to report it.
I think that might be it. But
if you just say,
I
think I was raped,
again,
can I have a pill?
It's not that I'm saying that women who are sexually assaulted should not report it or should be afraid to, or if 5 years report it. But God, there's so many bitches out. Listen, I'm a fucking girl, okay? Do you think for a second, if I really fucking had it out for somebody, that I could ruin their life and be like, yeah, he raped me, and just keep it on? And that would be it. There would be no investigation to it. It would just be my word against his.
That's what's going on.
And it makes me so mad. Like it makes me so like angry at people that do that. I'm not saying that these people did that, but just over the years, there has been people who do that for money, for clout, whatever it is. But I mean, it makes me so scared to have like a son who,
Well, it doesn't have to be a woman. I mean, wasn't Kevin Spacey cleared of the charges?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen anybody, anytime.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Des, I mean, this idea of the Me
goes back
Too,
to little boys and Michael Jackson, goes back to like,
yeah. Well, the whole Me Too movement, the idea that they pitched to us was believe women, like just flat out believe them.
You should believe women, but women lie.
No, women lie. You
Except
shouldn't.
when they're lying.
You shouldn't.
And it's hard to know.
You shouldn't have a policy of just believe at face value anybody who accuses somebody else of a crime. You can't just believe them.
Yeah, it's absurd.
It's absurd because then everybody goes to jail based on somebody's story. I mean, you can't have that. You have to have evidence. You have to have corroboration. Like, I mean, look, I look at it. I remember Kobe Bryant. Okay, Kobe Bryant had to settle out of court.
R.I.P.
Okay, right. R.I.P. And I'm sorry. Clearly, he had sex with this woman at 3 a.m. in his hotel room. I have no doubt that he cheated on his wife and he had sex with that woman. But basically, once she had his DNA, she had him dead to rights.
Yeah.
He raped me. And that charge went bye-bye because they signed a contract where he paid her God knows how much money and made it go away. Now, I mean, now guys have to be smarter. I'm sure Russell Brand wasn't thinking straight when he was all fucked up on drugs.
You know what? The other thing about it is like, if you're fucked up on drugs, like if you're rock star fucking partying,
yeah,
chances are the bitches that are there are also rock star partying. They are not like, and I'm not, and again, I'm not saying if you rape somebody that is on drugs, that it makes it okay. It doesn't, but I'm saying that
everybody's messed up.
He was a desirable celebrity. I saw a video online today where a woman was saying like he could have like any woman he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going out and raping people.
Exactly. He didn't. Why would you need to do that? If you could have anyone you wanted, like, and there's 50 bitches at the party who fucking lined up.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Multiple at a time.
When the Kobe Bryant thing,
bitches.
When the Kobe Bryant thing happened, I was kind of like convinced.
Bitches too.
Don't believe women just at face value, because I found it impossible to believe that guy who, he grew up in a military family, traveled the world, very fucking smart dude, had the world on a string, making millions of dollars, had a beautiful wife and children and family. And then one night at 2 a.m, he decided to become a violent rapist.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe it. And I think that he made the mistake of getting set up. He had sex with a girl and that
was probably a groupie who sought him out.
And she saw dollar signs. And right now, that's just the way my mind goes. If it's a rich, famous person, I also heard
Bill Cosby. Why does this always happen? Like all these years go by, nobody says anything.
Listen, I gotta say something about Bill Cosby.
Floodgates open just after one allegation.
Listen, one time I was little.
Everybody knew about Cosby.
This is a story. One time when I was little, okay, we had a roommate, or maybe we were. It doesn't matter. There was a Penthouse magazine in the bathroom. I didn't know what Penthouse was, and it was open. And guess what page it was fucking open to? Bill Cosby's fucking schlong.
What?
The Jello Man in the Penthouse magazine. I can, every time someone says that name, that's the first image that pops in my head. And
wait. Bill Cosby posed nude?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Dick out and everything. Yes.
What?
Find it. Penthouse. I think it was Penthouse.
You mean Playgirl?
No, Penthouse. It was a magazine.
Bill Cosby?
Yeah. Dude,
Holy
look it up.
crap, man. I'm not going to.
No,
I
I'm
just,
not going to.
yeah,
either.
I will take your word for it. I'm just shocked. I didn't know that.
I could see
Anyway,
Playgirl.
continue.
Yeah, Playgirl was the one for women with the nude dudes or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
with
it
like
was
Burt
in my
Reynolds in
house.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds. Yeah.
I
Burt
don't know.
Reynolds.
Maybe there was more pages and maybe he was like having, I don't know. Okay, that was the first thing I saw.
Where was this magazine?
It was in
where-
a bathroom
But like at
at a house we
school?
lived in. No,
No.
it was in
At the
no
house. Oh, okay.
in our house. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
in
mean,
no, it was in
it was somebody in my home owned the fucking magazine. Okay,
Mhm.
I mean,
left it in the bathroom. I wasn't
no,
touching
it was in the school library, Mike.
Oh, okay.
Well, nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's wrong with that, man?
Yeah.
I don't know how to follow up Bill Cosby's schlong
Yeah, I don't
sticking
know.
out in a
I
magazine.
don't know if I don't know if there's
Somehow.
any I don't know if there's any need.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we've reached
don't-
maximum
Yeah.
Foz.
Yeah,
Actually,
I think that
yeah.
yeah, Mike.
No,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, did you guys see the big news about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift?
Oh yeah.
Oh, tell us.
No, they're like an item apparently. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's great.
Why? That's
No, I'm
weird.
just kidding. Man.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Anyway,
well, he'll
all
be
right.
her next song. So
There you go.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
you know, no, what I heard one last thing on that note, because I didn't see that game where she was up in the box or whatever, cheering him on. But is it true that during that game they showed a commercial that Kelsey did for Pfizer for vaccines?
I don't know. Did he?
That's
That's what I
possible.
heard. I heard he did a
Oh.
Pfizer ad for the new vaccine.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think you're right. Yeah, it was one where it was a 2-for-1 commercial where you get the flu shot and the vaccine at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Fuck Kelsey then. I'm out.
Jeez, man.
I'm
he
out on
probably got
Kelsey.
paid a lot of money to do it.
Yeah, I bet. Well, Pfizer's got a lot of money. They made a lot of money.
You want to date Taylor Swift? You're doing this ad. That's how powerful Pfizer is, man.
All right, I think we've been on for a while. Have we guys? Have we been on for a while?
I think so.
So?
All right, it's time to wrap things up. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching.